well, that happened. I muted. But as I was saying, was thank you for being patient with me as I went to install some mods for my sister's World of Warcraft account. But we are going to go ahead and get into our last game of the evening. And I'm pretty much going to play this until I get tired. I did play the prelude for this, but as you can see, there is a warning up on the screen. And I'm just going to read this warning here. It says pretty much warning. The following game contains one or more of the following subjects: violence, blood and gore, sexual themes, strong language, and possibly mental health struggles, and therefore may not be suitable for some viewers and should not be viewed by anyone under the age of 17, as this is a rated M for mature game. Viewers' discretion is advised. And with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get started with not for broadcast, but I just wanted to read that out loud before we started. So
slaves were just in prettier cages.
okay, so let's go ahead and start this.
We're only getting started.
It is not taking it away now.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy.
Oh, okay, it did. Okay, so it also says this is an early access release and only contains the first 3 levels. The final game will have hours and hours of branching content and probably fill your SSD. Throughout development, not for broadcast, will receive changes and updates to the graphics, footage, music, UI, and mechanics. Basically everything. If you have feedback, we'd love to hear from you. We intend to shape the game with your views in mind. Please talk to us on the Steam forums if you find any curious bugs or have any interesting, preferably game-related suggestions. We also accept bribes. Finally, a sincere thank you for buying Not for Broadcast, which I received it from free from the developers, unless you pirate it, in which case we hope you'll enjoy it enough to end up buying it. We can't finish the game without people paying for it, and our poor coder is starting to look mighty hungry. Okay, so let's get started. But Not for Broadcast is a pretty interesting game. I played it before. It's like a simulation game, and you have to kind of like censor things. It gets really tricky. Another thing is, again, if you use exclamation point GOTW, that will allow for you to see all the games for this week and what they're being played on. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't think I can load. Nope. Okay, so we're gonna start a new game because I played the prelude. So hello, Dan. Enter the game name. We already know that I'm gonna go with Ready, Set, Indie Games. I'm not gonna be able to get that on there, so I'm just gonna put Ready, Set, IG, which is also my Twitter handle. So we'll start like this. Jeremy Donaldson is the country's most popular and trustworthy news anchor for now. Okay, I remember playing this one. Turn right. I bet you that's the developer team, because when I first played that, I don't remember it being like that.
Call for you. I'm just putting it through. All right, mate. Dave here. Listen, I know you've only come in to clean up the place, but I've got a bit caught up, so you're gonna have to run the news tonight. Now, don't worry, it's not hard, and I'm gonna stay on the phone and help you. First, I'm gonna give you a quick tour of the broadcast room, so if you're not doing it already, look forwards towards all those screens. Right, look up at the top. That coloured bar is your audience. You
Okay.
want to keep the viewers going up
Right.
and not down. Underneath that, you've got the screens. The one on the right is the broadcast screen. That's what the viewers are seeing at home. It's only a couple of seconds behind the master screen there in the middle. That's the one you control. Now, the four small screens on the left show the different signals coming from the studio.
Okay.
And you can choose between them using the numbered buttons on the vision mixer at the bottom left. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it and you'll pick it up in no time. Now, have a look to your left. These plugs control everything in the studio. I've left them set up for you, so provided you haven't fiddled with them, all you have to do now is throw the master trip switch and we're in business. Once you've got the power on, face the front again. You can see on the broadcast screen that we're in the end titles for the show before us. Fortunately, they go on for fucking ages, so there's plenty of time for me to explain... Oh, right, okay, they're over, so we haven't got long now till the broadcast. Right, quickly, mate, look down under the desk. You can see a load of videotapes on the left. They're your adverts. Pick any three and load them into the machines on the right. When you've done that, look up to the front again.
Four old ladies from East Grinching. That's followed at 8 p.m. by award-winning documentary
Right,
series.
won't be long now
Okay.
till the signal starts coming through from the station. Stay on your toes. All the bigwigs are in tonight because of the election, so we better not make any mistakes.
Got it.
At 9 p.m., sit back and relax with multiple award-winning movie, The Freedom.
When you get the signal, select screen 1 with the vision mixer and we're ready to go.
Prawn and mayonnaise?
You know seafood makes me go out in pustules.
Yeah, thought it might increase our viewing figures.
Every day. You offer me prawns every day.
10 seconds, everybody. That's how I show love.
You're trying to kill me.
And yet you persist. Going 5, 4.
But now, it's time to join Jeremy Donaldson.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main stories tonight.
Okay,
Moving on
we're
up.
all good.
The election
Next
win
is
that
going to be the
has
throw to the
just
news
pretty
titles
hot.
on screen 2.
Hopeful or
There'll be a
hostile.
countdown, but I'll count you in as well. Just relax, mate. It's all gravy.
Buys Honest Andy's Totally Independent and corners the flowered market. Top chat. Sports fans everywhere celebrate as popular footballer Johnny Hamsleeves wins Sports Personality of the Year. And a spoonful of sugar. Meghan will be chatting with movie star Lawrence Blunderclatch about his new movie, The Medicated. And, of course, we'll be going live to Advance headquarters to hear what the leaders of this fledgling party have to say on their historic week.
Right, button
That's
2
all coming up on
in
tonight.
3,
National
2,
Nightly News.
1. Lovely, mate. Next thing is to throw back to Jeremy with button 1 when that globe in the middle shrinks down and vanishes. Here it comes. Switch to screen 1. Lovely, mate.
But first, the votes are in and it's a decisive win for Advance. The landslide
Listen, mate, we often get a bit of interference around this time of night, so keep your eye on the machine on the bottom right. You can move that white dot up and down, avoiding the interference using the yellow knob or your scroll wheel.
of a severe lack of actual policies and of being deliberately vague. The opposition parties have all conceded defeat to Advance's overwhelming mandate, but have yet to appear publicly.
Right, it's going well. All you've got to do now is play the advert at the end of the segment. Make sure you don't play it too early or we'll all get fired. Now the clock at the top is counting you down to the advert. When it reaches 0, press one of the 3 play ad buttons over there at the bottom right. I normally play the first one at the first break and so on, but you can play them in any order you want. I'll count you into it as well, but keep your eye on the clock.
We'll be going live to Advance
Gotcha.
HQ to hear the co-leader's acceptance speech.
And 3,
That's all coming
2,
up.
1, advert.
1 minute back, everybody. Jeremy, I need you to fill after the ads.
What? Why?
Wanker Snatch is running late.
Oh,
I thought I'd ask him about the election.
personally, I wouldn't try to confuse him with any big words.
That's the same policy we use with you. I thought that was our little secret. That's all right. Doesn't remember anything I tell him.
I'm deeply uncomfortable with your burgeoning friendship. Yeah.
stab break. You're doing great, mate. But this
Oh,
is where it
okay.
starts getting a
I
bit
got A+.
trickier. This next sequence is what we call a multicam sequence, because you're going to be cutting between multiple cameras to keep things interesting. A lot of it's down to personal taste, but here's 3 good rules of thumb. 1. Try and keep the shot on whoever is doing the talking. 2. Don't stay on the same shot for too long. 10 seconds at the most.
Okay.
So if you're on the person who's talking, try and throw in the odd reaction shot or pull out to the wide shot for a bit just to keep it interesting. 3. Don't stay on reaction shots for too long. A couple of seconds is usually enough. Then the audience want to see who's doing the talking, yeah? Stick to these rules and you'll be fine. It's not as complicated as it sounds. You've seen programs on television, haven't you? Make it look like those.
Okay.
Might as well get screen 1 selected now. No need to wait for the broadcast to start. Try and stay ahead, mate.
We're coming back from the break. Quiet in the studio.
Thank you so much.
10 seconds, everybody. Going in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Later we'll be hearing from shock election winners Advance. But first
Get
off,
ready to go to Megan on screen 4.
Megan Wolf is here with a star of both stage and screen. Megan?
Thank you, Jeremy. Megan Wolf.
Get on screen 4.
And today I have a guest.
I was
who starred in
confused.
Everything from Shakespeare
Right,
to
go
the
to
shock
Blunderclatch
film
on screen 3 when she says his
joined
name.
today by none other than Lawrence Blunderclatch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my dear, I do hope you believe me when I tell you that being with you here today is among
Switch to 2 for the wide now.
May I say, having you here with us is among ours.
Right, now just try and
So
stay
you
on
just
whoever's
finished filming
talking.
your latest movie, which is called The Medicated.
The medicated, yes.
Wow, what was that like?
Well, as I said to Peter the Rat, that's Peter Jensen, the director. Do you
Give us a look at Megan's reaction. Lovely. Now back to Thunder Twat.
With him on several movies, all terribly successful. I said to Peter, what a wild ride this has been. And do you know what, Megan? I really meant that.
Wow, that is fantastic. And am I right in saying that the character you play in this movie is
Right.
an academic one?
Absolutely right. A scientist.
Was that a challenge at all?
What exactly are you implying? But seriously, yes, you're right. It was a complete departure from my last starring role when I played Sergeant Brock Rockman in Bullet Man. You'll remember that that was the true story.
Been on that show a bit long.
For a love that surpasses all others. A love, of course, for freedom. I think it's grossed over $1 billion, but honestly, who's counting?
It's a role that saw you scoop 2 Best Actor awards, if I remember correctly.
It's so sweet of you to mention it, but I really am not in it for the awards, although those 3 little statues do take pride of place on my mantelpiece.
With all the others, I'm sure. So, if you're not doing it for the awards, what is it then that drives you?
That is a beautiful question, Megan, and not easy to answer. Like you, I'm afraid. Cut me, and I will bleed. And often, that's how it feels, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Bleeding, giving, suffering for one's audience. I suppose in the end, I do it for the difference it makes. I do it for the people that I inspire. The little people. But most of all, I think I do it for the positive change that I can bring about in the world.
And today, of course, we're in for some real change, it looks like, in the coming few months. What do you make of this historic election result?
Oh, well. Well,
Yeah,
now you're
the
asking.
UI is great at
Historic
this.
election result. Indeed. Historic is the word. Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. But, I think I've always been quite clear that when it comes to politics, one should always strive to not fuck things up.
Shit, he swore. Oh, well, don't worry, he won't do it again.
Sorry, I said fuck.
Shit, he did it again. Okay, don't panic. I'll explain how to deal with swearing at the break.
Medicated, which opens next week.
Right,
around
I've swapped the shot of Jeremy on screen 1 for a VT of the movie clip. You'll get a countdown on the screen, but I'll just let Megan cue you in.
My character, Dr. Lance Hemlock, is faced with a decision that could affect humanity's very survival.
This is where it gets dank,
Exciting
just
stuff.
so you know.
Let's take a look. Exciting stuff.
Watch out for that interference, mate.
Doctor.
I don't understand it.
Gore looks like Blunderclatch is losing it in the studio. I'd love to hear what he's saying, but don't switch to it now. You can go to the archive when the broadcast's done. We keep everything.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it gets a little dangerous.
Mustn't think of Carol.
Dr. Lance to you, Miss Flanagan.
Yeah, it got dank.
Did it for you, baby. All for you.
Dr. Hemlock.
We're gonna change the world, you know? I want to listen to you.
Dr. Hemlock.
You told me, but I didn't listen.
Doctor.
I'm drowning, Lance, you said.
You need to see this.
No, it's all too late.
Look at this!
Yeah, the game is really well made.
The sterility. This formula, this is the key.
Stop it.
Like, they definitely changed a lot.
Want to play another ad? Remember to use the clock at the top to count you in.
Yeah, that's what confused me last time.
Should.
Right, I guess I better explain how to deal with bleeping out swear words.
Yeah.
As you've probably noticed, the broadcast screen, here, is about 2 seconds behind the master screen, here. When someone says a naughty word, the bleep button lights up, like this. 2 seconds later, you'll hear that swear word going out on the broadcast,
Okay.
and you need to hold down the bleep button or the spacebar on your keyboard for as long as the swear word lasts.
Okay.
It can take a bit of practice getting used to hearing 2 things at once. Just stay calm and you'll get it. And if you can't tell when to bleep, just above the button, you'll literally be able to see the sound scrolling by. All you gotta do is hold it down while the red bit is over the red line. Simple.
Okay.
Of course, if you do it by eye, you'll have to take your eye off the screens. That's why real professionals do it by ear. Most people like to have the volume of the broadcast screen a little bit below the master screen. Let's set it now. As you turn it up, you'll hear the advert getting louder. Good. You're set to start censoring. Like I say, it takes a little practice, but I'll try and help you through it, and soon we'll have you bleeping like a pro. Remember,
I got an A on that
button lights
segment.
up,
That wasn't too bad.
count 1, 2, and hold it down.
That's right, absolutely
Remember to select screen 1 now that you've got the feed. Don't wait for the broadcast to go live. That's too late. You can use the number buttons on your keyboard, 1 to 4.
Seriously?
Had worse. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. And I'm told we can now go live to Advance Headquarters, where the two leaders, Peter Clement and Julia Salisbury, are about to make their acceptance address.
Oh shit, he's pissed.
Shall I
Get ready to
start?
bleep.
Go for it, Pat.
Shall I start? Okay.
Go for it,
Well,
Pat.
Thank you all for
Okay.
coming, and well, thank you all
where
for
do
coming.
I start?
And, well, what? Where do I start?
They said we
What a
couldn't do
day.
it.
They certainly
said we
They
couldn't
used
do it.
every
Every
dirty,
dirty,
low-down, lying,
every southern
dirty,
bastard
low-down,
trick they
lying
had against southern
For you,
trick they had against
people.
us.
You
You saw right through their shit.
I'm sorry about the language there. I'm sorry about the
I've had a
language
couple
there.
of celebrating. Sorry about that. I've had a couple of celebrating. Coarser than the ground is funny. Coarser than the ground
Memorably
is.
put. Memorably put. But to be honest, who can blame Peter for celebrating? Who can blame Peter
Throughout the
for
campaign,
celebrating?
you've heard us say that
Throughout the
advance are
campaign,
not
you've
a
heard us
political
say
party.
that advance are not
A
a
party is
political
what you have
party.
when things are going well.
A party is what you have when
When the
things are
country
going
is
well.
suffering, you don't need a
When the
party.
country is suffering,
You
don't
need a
a party.
A team that can change things.
A team that can change.
But today
things.
is day one of a new
But today
future.
is day one
A
of
better,
a new future.
fairer future.
A better,
So
fairer
perhaps we should all be
future.
celebrating.
Except for the
perhaps we should all be
rich.
celebrating.
For them, the
Except
party's
for the
over. They
rich.
shouldn't
For
be
them, the
celebrating.
party's over. They
should
shouldn't
be
be
putting their
celebrating.
shitting pants
They
on
should
and
be
up in
putting
their
their
dusty checkbook. Pants on and up
Again,
in their dusty
colourfully
checkbook.
put,
Again,
not
colourfully
inaccurate, but Not before we came out here to address the nation, we used our executive powers to pass the Assets and Wealth Act. To pass the working with the Wealth Office, we have produced a definitive list of every person in the country with wealth into the millions.
You know this sort of problem. You rather you don't. Because the likes of you and me are not welcome in their gated community.
Tomorrow we will be introducing a sweeping reform of the tax system in this country. No more hiding wealth offshore. No more hiding wealth funds or creative accounting. Trust funds or creative accounting. Fairer, unavoidable set of tax laws.
So all you bastard public school snobs have got nowhere to hide. I've got nowhere to hide. We revoke your passport. We revoke your passport. You want to leave like you threatened before the election. That's fine. That's fine. You're going to pay first. You're going to pay up.
Advance are going to turn this country from a nation of warring individuals into warring individuals, to properly fund health and education, to raise the living standards of us all.
The pundits said we'd have to raise billions. You'll see when we've reclaimed what's ours. That's absolute. That's absolute. So to you posh twats,
the people who pay you a pittance to serve them drinks in their private clubs, the people whose children you raise.
So they've got time to get even. So they've got time to get even.
Advance have this to say to you. Advance have this to say to you. We are coming for your sports cars and your mansions and your vineyards and your mansions and your vineyards. We will put the wealth of this country back. We will put the wealth of this country back in the hands of the people who created it. In the hands of the people who created it.
Today.
Yes. It ends today. It ends and tomorrow today. We'll start making it fair again. We'll start making it like we promised we would.
And until then, ladies and gents, I suggest we all get pissed.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. Thank you for your time.
Well, interesting acceptance speech there. Interesting acceptance speech there. Our apologies for the fruity language. And our apologies for the fruity language. Out for you in time. Hopefully we got that out for you in time. Someone's going to be in trouble. If not, someone's going to be in trouble. So, as the country braces itself for new government, that's all from us this evening at the National Nightly News. That's all from us this evening. We'll be back tomorrow with full coverage of the first day under advance. With full coverage of the first day. I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Have a peaceful Jeremy Donaldson.
Right, looks like you've got it now. Thanks for the help, mate. I've got to go. Ferry's about to leave. Probably won't be coming
okay.
back. Job's yours, mate. Good luck.
Boring politics.
Yeah, it actually
fever dream.
was really good, ironically.
You'd be so lucky. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Not coming for a drink?
No, got a date.
Try not to get murdered.
The game is very interesting. And
who knows?
Like I played the prologue of this before, and it was pretty much the same in the prologue or prelude. So what I'm going to do is I am gonna keep playing to see if at least try to go through the second day and see what happens.
These potentially true statistics are all terrifying reasons why you should pop it.
Yeah, I have to see because ironically, my family should be coming in at about 2. So. So I have to decide. I'm gonna try to go for it and see what happens. I do probably need to get off of here at about 1:30 though. But let's see.
With Johnny Hamsley.
So I did pretty good. My editing was okay. Okay. I'll take it.
Right, mate, I've left you a voicemail. I thought you'd end up here. Most people come into the archive room when they're done with a broadcast. That way you can see what you did and how it looked to the public. As you can see, there's 3 sections to the archive. Broadcasts, that's what you've put out. Rushes, which is all the stuff that was on all the screens. And adverts, which is any advert that you've chosen to show. So let's have a look at the broadcasts. Okay. On the left, left, you can see all the broadcasts that you've done. You can also get to hear from the main menu if you don't actually want to do a broadcast, you just want to see some of your past work.
Okay.
Select any of those and click load tape. Why not watch what you just did? When you're done, hit back.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna do this, and then when this is done, I will probably end the stream.
Well, in a few moments, we'll be going live to tonight's national nightly news. But before that, let's take a look at what's coming up later on tonight on Channel 1. At 7 o'clock, it's the semi-final of the quotation game, and it's a nail-biting quiz tonight as a team of nuclear physicists take on 4 old ladies from East Grinching. That's followed at 8 p.m. by award-winning documentary series The Shape of Now, which tonight looks at the history of the knee-length sock and its importance during the Great Blackouts of 1871. Not one to miss. At 9 p.m, sit back and relax with multiple award-winning movie The Freedom of Being Colin, taking us all the way up to 11:15, where, as usual, Dr. Adrian Atkinson Blimey will be grilling his guests in Incisors, and tonight sees a return for leading economist Katie Brightman. Finally, at midnight, it's the National Weather Report, before we say good night until tomorrow. But now, it's time to join Jeremy Donaldson for the National Nightly News.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main stories tonight. Moving on up, the election win that experts said just couldn't happen. Hopeful or hostile? Controversy as global mega corporation Remington's Fist buys Honest Andy's Totally Independent and corners the flowered market. Top chat. Sports fans everywhere celebrate as popular footballer Johnny Hamsleeves wins Sports Personality of the Year. And a spoonful of sugar. Megan will be chatting with movie star Lawrence Blunderclatch about his new movie, The Medicated. And, of course, we'll be going live to Advance headquarters to hear what the leaders of this fledgling party have to say on their historic victory. That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News. But first, the votes are in and it's a decisive win for Advance. The landslide victory, with an astonishing 81% of the popular vote, is the biggest election win in living memory. Advance appealed to voters up and down the country with their bold promises of permanent change, but critics have accused them of a severe lack of actual policies and of being deliberately vague. The opposition parties have all conceded defeat to Advance's overwhelming mandate, but have yet to appear publicly. However, former Home Secretary Geoffrey Jeffries has issued a statement in which he comments that we have all been seduced by the shiny wrapping paper, but have yet to see the contents of the box. Sounds like sour grapes to me, Jeff. After the break, Megan Wolf will be speaking to a man whose grapes certainly aren't sour, the international heartthrob and inexplicable box office sensation that is Lawrence Blunderclatch. And later in the programme, we'll be going live to Advance HQ to hear the co-leader's acceptance speech. That's all coming up after the break.
Welcome to Crazy Neil's Crazy Pre-Christmas Sofa and Chair Deals. It's a steal with Crazy Neil. We don't care if you've been naughty or nice. We got green sofas, red sofas, brown cushions, pink cushions. You've got a grey sofa. We've got a great sofa. In a grey, a brown, a pink, a yellow, a purple. Neil's deals are unreal. You've got people coming over at Christmas. You've got an aunt. She's going to leave a stain on the sofa. You don't want her sitting on this white sofa. She's going to have to sit on the dark sofa. This is a deal with Neil Appeal. You want to throw your money at us. We'll give you a leather sofa for a price that is just crazy. If you've got lightning striking, then strike whilst the lightning is hot. You've got a disused sofa. We don't care if it's smelly, stuck in front of your telly, full of welly. We'll take that shit away. Don't make a meal out of it. Make a deal out of it. We got a big-ass deal on a big-ass chair. We've got white chairs, blue chairs, stools, inflatable chairs. This is a crazy deal with Neil Appeal. You don't want want no lame-ass chair. You want a great chair. We had a man come down the other day, and he brought in his young daughter, and he wanted her to have the best chair. We got those chairs. We got more of those chairs. We got tall chairs, chairs on wheels, wheelchairs. We got chairs for twins, chairs made out of steel, chairs that are a steal and a deal. We got those chairs. You want crazy? We got crazy. Crazy Neil's got crazy deals. You want a toilet? We can do you a toilet. We can do you a toilet next to a chair. We can do you a chair next to a toilet. Hell, we can even do you a toilet chair. So you come on down, you bring your ass, we've got it, you want it. You want it, we've got it, you want it. You pay us. You want it, we've got it, you want it. You want it, we've got it, you pay us.
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Later we'll be hearing from shock election winners Advance, but first our very own culture reporter Megan Wolfe is here with a star of both stage and screen. Megan?
Thank you, Jeremy. Megan Wolfe, culture correspondent. And today I have a guest who starred in everything from Shakespeare to the Shotbot films. I'm very excited to be joined today by none other than Lawrence Blunderclatch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my dear. I do hope you believe me when I tell you that being with you here today is among the greatest joys of my life.
May I say, having you here with us is among ours.
Bless you.
So you've just finished filming your latest movie, which is called The Medicated.
The Medicated, yes.
Wow, what was that like?
Well, as I said to Peter at the Wrap, that's Peter Jensen, the director. Do you know him? He's a wonderful chap, he really is. I've worked with him on several movies, all terribly successful. I said to Peter, what a wild ride this has been. And do you know what, Megan? I really meant that.
Wow, that is fantastic. And am I right in saying that the character you play in this movie is quite an academic one?
Absolutely right. A scientist.
Was that a challenge at all?
What exactly are you implying? But seriously, yes, you're right. It was a complete departure from my last starring role when I played Sergeant Brock Rockman in Bullet Man. You'll remember that that was the true story of one soldier's fight for a love that surpasses all others. A love, of course, for freedom. I think it's grossed over $1 billion, but honestly, who's counting?
It's a role that saw you scoop 2 Best Actor awards, if I remember correctly.
It's so sweet of you to mention it, but I really am not in it for the awards, although those 3 little statues do take pride of place on my mantelpiece.
With all the others, I'm sure. So, if you're not doing it for the awards, what is it then that drives you?
Oh, that is a beautiful question, Megan, and not easy to answer. Like you, I'm afraid. Cut me, and I will bleed. And often, that's how it feels, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Bleeding, giving, suffering for one's audience. I suppose in the end, I do it for the difference it makes. I do it for the people that I inspire, the little people. But most of all, I think I do it for the positive change that I can bring about in the world.
And today, of course, we're in for some real change, it looks like, in the coming few months. What do you make of this historic election result?
Oh, well. Well, now you're asking. Historic election result. Indeed. Historic is the word. Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. But I think I've always been quite clear that when it comes to politics, one should always strive to not fuck things up.
Yes, well...
Sorry, I said fuck.
No.
I'm really...
Well,
sorry.
Lawrence, I believe you brought in a clip from The Medicated, which opens next week around the country. Lawrence, do tell us what's going on here.
I'd be delighted. This is a really pivotal scene where my character, Dr. Lance Hemlock, is faced with a decision that could affect humanity's very survival.
Wow, exciting stuff. Let's take a look.
I don't understand it.
Doctor.
I don't understand it.
It's not your fault.
You think I don't know that?
No, Lance, we mustn't. Think of Carol.
It's Doc told me, but I didn't listen.
Doctor.
I'm drowning, Lance, she said.
You need to see this.
No, it's all too late.
Look at this!
Got it! The virus. The sterility. This formula, this is the key.
We could stop it all.
Yes, we could stop it all. We have to ask ourselves if we should.
Celebrate the classic age of salad with this exquisite limited edition collection. My Salad Weekly. Sign up now and every week we'll send you an authentic, ethically sourced ingredient to add to your salad. Build your collection week by week and very soon you'll have a salad that really gets the lunchroom talking. From tomatoes and oils to leafy greens and lovely grains, this really is the complete collection. Every issue also comes with a companion magazine that explores the history of the art form, from the Great Balsamic Wars of '48 or Edward the Confessor's discovery of the cucumber to the man that changed the very way we see the humble salad, Julius Caesar himself. Start your personal salad collection now and we'll send you your first 3 issues. Loose leaf, Remain, and Iceberg. Plus this exclusive lettuce fridge magnet, all for just $7.97, with free postage and packing. Order now and you'll receive this crouton display case, free. That's right, absolutely free. With a retail value of $18.99, your crunchy cubes will look their absolute carby best. But don't delay, this exclusive offer is available for a limited time.
Welcome back, and I'm told we can now go live to Advance Headquarters where the 2 leaders, Peter Clement and Julia Salisbury, are about to make their acceptance address.
Shall I start?
Go for it, Pet.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and, well, where do I start? What a day.
They said we couldn't do it.
They certainly did.
They used every dirty, low-down, lying southern brick they had against us, but you, the people, you saw right through their
I'm sorry about the language there.
Sorry about that. I've had a couple of celebratory pints. Makes me coarser than a granny's.
Memorably put. But to be honest, who can blame Peter for celebrating? Throughout the campaign, you've heard us say that Advance are not a political party. A party's what you have when things are going well. When the country is suffering, you don't need a party. You need a team. A team that can change things. But today is day 1 of a new future. A better, fairer future. So perhaps we should all be celebrating.
Except for the rich. For them, the party's over. They shouldn't be celebrating. They should be putting their pants on and opening their dusty checkbooks.
Again, colourfully put, but not inaccurate. Before we came out here to address the nation, we used our executive powers to pass the Assets and Wealth Act. Working with the tax office, we have produced a definitive list of every person in the country with wealth into the millions.
You know the sort of, probably you rather you don't. Because the likes of you and me are not welcome in their gated communities.
Tomorrow, we will be introducing a sweeping reform of the tax system in this country. No more hiding wealth offshore, no more trust funds or creative accounting. A simpler, fairer, unavoidable set of tax laws.
So, all you public school snobs have got nowhere to hide. And earlier today, we revoked your passports. You want them back? You want to leave like you threatened before the election? That's fine. But first, you're going to pay up. You're going to pay back.
Advance are going to turn this country from a nation of warring individuals into a team, to properly fund health and education, to raise the living standards of us all.
The pundits said we'd have to raise billions, but you'll see when we've reclaimed what's ours, that's absolute ferret. So to you posh
people who pay you a pittance to serve them drinks in their private clubs, the people whose children you raise.
So they've got time to get even richer.
Advance have this to say to you.
It ends today.
We are coming for your sports cars and your mansions and your vineyards.
It ends today.
We will put the wealth of this country back where it should have always been, in the hands of the people who created it.
It ends today.
Yes, it ends today. And tomorrow we'll start making it fair again, just like we promised we would.
And until then, ladies and gents, I suggest we all get p***.
I can't argue with that. Thank you for your time.
Well, an interesting acceptance speech there from the leaders of Advance. And our apologies for the fruity language. Hopefully we got that bleeped out for you in time. If not, someone's going to be in trouble. So, as the country braces itself for new government, that's all from us this evening at the National Nightly News. We'll be back tomorrow with full coverage of the first day under Advance. I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Have a peaceful night.
You know, I think that's pretty cool. Oh, I forgot about this commercial.
Legend Johnny Hamsleeves. I'm not fat, but you are. Don't worry, ladies. Now you can have me, Johnny Hamsleeve, right there in your lounge.
Johnny!
Oh, I am not getting the song out of my head, am I?
I'll take you through a proper match day workout with my two cracking assistants. Who knows, within a few weeks, you could be as fit as them. What a day, in the coach cruising down the motorway. Match day, Saturday, finished with the handshakes and we're ready to play. Did you know that fat people are less likely to laugh, marry or live past the age of 26? These potentially true statistics are all terrifying reasons why you need to pop a bit of Johnny in your VHS slot.
Wow.
Every exercise is recommended by sports professionals and is 72% likely to get rid of those tricky tummies and cruel cellulite. With Johnny Hamsleeve.
Well, that was just, you know, brutal, I guess. Achieving a lot. Dang, I'm good. So you can go back.
Click on rushes and let's have a look at those.
Okay, because I'm going to try to get through all of these, but for sure after I do this, we may not have to do the adverts because I think those showed up in the broadcast. But after the rushes, I am going to have to save and quit. Like I said, I had family members that were working this evening, and they're going to be home literally in a few moments. So we'll do rushes and go from there.
Okay, these 4 screens, they're exactly the same as the 4 screens that feed you the studio signal when you're doing the actual news. Of course, the difference here is you can mute any screen you like or any combination of screens, and you can have a listen to what was going on behind the scenes. Just select any segment, that's any bit between ad breaks over on the left, and hit play. When you're done checking out the backstage secrets, hit back.
I think we really kind of want to look at the Blunder Clatch interview. I don't think we need to do the advanced acceptance, because a lot of that we kind of got to hear. But let's do the Blunder Clatch interview.
These aren't my cards. Please tell me these aren't my cards.
No, they're the right ones, apparently.
Oh, but this gives me nothing, Jenny. They must see that.
I know. I think they think you won't have anything to say.
Oh, for God's sake, come on. It's a huge day. It's not an...
Absolute bonehead.
I don't care, Rob. I'm not doing it. I agreed to do one beastly interview a day. I made that completely clear when we started. Check my contract.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Oh, piss off. You're on thin bloody ice, Rob. Whole wheat, man. Whole wheat.
We're coming back from the break. Quiet in the studio.
Thank you so much for...
10 seconds, everybody. Going in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Later will be Advance, but first our very own culture reporter Megan Wolfe is here with a star of both stage and screen. Megan?
Thank you, Jeremy. Megan Wolfe, culture correspondent. And today I have a guest who starred in everything from Shakespeare to the Shotbot films. I'm very excited to be joined today by none other than Lawrence Blunderclatch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my dear. I do hope you believe me when I tell you that being with you here today is among the greatest joys of my life.
May I say, having you here with us is among ours.
Bless you.
So you've just finished filming your latest movie, which is called The Medicated.
The Medicated, yes.
Wow, what was that like?
Well, as I said to Peter at the Wrap, that's Peter Jensen, the director. Do you know him? He's a wonderful chap, he really is. I've worked with him on several movies, all terribly successful. I said to Peter, what a wild ride this has been. And do you know what, Megan? I really meant that.
Wow, that is fantastic. And am I right in saying that the character you play in this movie is quite an academic one?
Absolutely right. A scientist.
Was that a challenge at all?
What exactly are you implying? But seriously, yes, you're right. It was a complete departure from my last starring role when I played Sergeant Brock Rockman in Bullet Man. You'll remember that that was the true story of one soldier's fight for a love that surpasses all others. A love, of course, for freedom. I think it's grossed over $1 billion, but honestly, who's counting?
It's a role that saw you scoop 2 Best Actor awards, if I remember correctly.
It's so sweet of you to mention it, but I really am not in it for the awards, although those 3 little statues do take pride of place on my mantelpiece.
With all the others, I'm sure. So, if you're not doing it for the awards, what is it then that drives you?
Oh, that is a beautiful question, Megan, and not easy to answer. Like you, I'm afraid. Cut me, and I will bleed. And often, that's how it feels, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Bleeding, giving, suffering for one's audience. I suppose in the end, I do it for the difference it makes. I do it for the people that I inspire, the little people. But most of all, I think I do it for the positive change that I can bring about in the world.
And today, of course, we're in for some real change, it looks like, in the coming few months. What do you make of this historic election result?
Oh, well. Well, now you're asking. Historic election result. Indeed. Historic is the word. Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. But I think I've always been quite clear that when it comes to politics, one should always strive to not fuck things up.
Yes, well...
Sorry, I said fuck.
No.
I'm really...
Well,
sorry.
Lawrence, I believe you brought in a clip from The Medicated, which opens next week around the country. Lawrence, do tell us what's going on here.
I'd be delighted. This is a really pivotal scene where my character, Dr. Lance Hemlock, is faced with a decision that could affect humanity's very survival.
Wow, exciting stuff. Let's take a look.
And we're out.
Rob, get the car. We're out of here.
Mr. Blunderclatch.
No! I'm shutting this down. What kind of operation are you people running?
Mr. Blunderclatch, I understand you're upset, but we can...
You don't know the half of it. Rob! I'll be at the Dorset. Send up a bottle of scotch and a whole ham. It's in my contract.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to. I had to. Oh, go on then. Say it.
What?
I told you so.
Your hair looked nice.
See, this is why you're single.
Alright, I don't think we need to do the headlines or the advance acceptance. Because I think we heard everything with those two. So I'm going to go back and do the adverts and see what that pops up for those. Okay, so it just kind of shows you what the adverts were. But if we just watch the broadcast, there's no sense of watching that again. Unless we really just kind of wanted to watch them to laugh again. But there's no real big sense of watching those. So I'm going to save and quit, and that's probably going to take me out of the game. But again, this is not for broadcast. That is the name of the game. And it is available on Steam. It is going for the price of, I want to say, let me see. Let me just bring that up. So it is going for the price of $14.99. It is on PC, and you can pick this up on Steam, Humble Bundle, and Fanatical. If you choose to shop through Humble Bundle and you shop through my Humble Bundle partner link, I do get some of the proceeds, but some of the proceeds also goes to Autism Alliance of Michigan. And it is a non-profit organization that helps those with loved ones on the spectrum. As I have stated before, I do have a child with autism, so it's a really great organization. But again, if you're a Humble Bundle Choice member, you can get the game for $13.49 USD.